Hey guys, Milo Fowler here from Fourth World Images. I'm the owner and professional large format photographer, and this is my photo rig, and I've done a lot to it to be able to handle the Southwest. In fact, every single month I put on about 4,000 to 7,000 miles to photograph these beautiful locations. And so one of the newest things I'm excited about is the really cool PowerSteps by AMP Research. And this video I'm going to talk a lot about how I installed it and some tips and pointers that you can use as well, so that you too can get in and out of your rig pretty easy. We'll see you in a bit. Hey, I just got the AMP Research Power side steps and ordered them. They came really fast. Actually, everything was packaged really nice. As you can see, I took apart some of the things here already, but everything really comes really nice with a bunch of like packaging around. Anyway, so I'm here in the garage, and here are the side steps. So my package here came with 3 different boxes, and my kids trying to play with our dog. But anyways, so you can really see the motor, the idler linkage there, number 2, and then here's all the instructions, hardware, the wiring, and as you see, a lot of fun things in there. The LED lights are right there, which is really cool. And so there's a bunch of things I'm going to dive into right now and see how this all goes. Like I mentioned, package is really nice, and as you look on the cover, there are many different applications that these can work for. As I've got the Nissan Armada, which is right there. I've got 35s, Toyo AT2s, I got 20s, which I'd like to have 18s, but I've got Bilsteins all the way around, all 6. I just got a brand new rear differential and new rear axles, brand new all last week. My wife is pregnant, and so the side steps will definitely help her. There's my little guy. I also have a MagnaFlow exhaust, and really fun setup there. I went wheeling recently, and you can see people say wash me. Then I also have the Bully Dog chip as well, which is probably right there, you can see. But anyways, there's a lot more I've done to the Armada, but one new thing I'm really excited about is installing these, and they don't seem to be too difficult to install. They just takes a little bit of time. So anyways, here we go. All right, well, as you can see here, these are really all the tools you need to be able to perform the installation for the AMP Research Powersteps for the Nissan Armada. Maybe for the Titan, I would imagine they're the same. But the really cool thing is you get some easy to read and easy to understand instructions. All you need, all the tools are mentioned right here. As they put, I like how they put safety goggles up on top. That's really critical. So that's how to install the PowerSteps, and this is all the other instructions on how to install the LED light kit as well. So not a whole lot, as you see here. Like I said, gloves have always helped me. I like to ride my downhill bike, so these are the Fox Bomber gloves. Carbon fiber, leather everywhere, really comfortable to use. It's almost like working with your hands, but obviously a lot more protection. Some Allen wrenches, hex keys, safety glasses, long screwdriver, just a 1/2-inch ratchet. This is obviously by some really cool design that I really like here. The other thing is just the wrenches, tape measure, and WD-40 as well, which I'm going to get into here in a second as well. But overall, this is really all you need. As you see, I'm actually filming all of this in my garage, and I'm not a an auto mechanic by trade. Although I know a lot about cars, I'm not a professional. Like I said, I'm a photographer, but definitely getting into the backcountry, understanding how some of these things work is very critical. So I've personally broke down in Canyon de Chelly, which is in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, and reinstalled my front driver's side CV shaft, and I totally destroyed that. And so quite honestly, if you can change your own oil, I know the funny thing about this is it says skill level 4 experienced. Really, if you can change your own oil, you can follow instructions and read along. It's pretty easy of a process. All in all, it says it may take you 3 to 5 hours. It really took me about 2.5 to 3 hours total to be able to do this. And I'm going to talk a little bit specifically underneath the truck, the Armada, and also on the wiring things. Some things that you can do to be able to save a little bit of time as well. And there's one critical thing about the measurements that I'll get into once we get there. But all in all, pretty easy process. Like I said, these are all the tools you need. Okay, here we are under the Armada, and one thing that probably would have saved me almost an hour, believe it or not, was cleaning these bolts right here. This is a stud that comes out of the undercarriage of the Armada, and then this is a hole actually right here that where the bottom bolt actually goes into. So this is actually in the middle of the Armada, but as you can see, there's a bunch of mud, a little bit of rust. I had to clean these all up, and it took a lot of time to be able to do that. In fact, it took me just about an hour. So if you know you're getting your PowerSteps, really good idea is to clean these after you order them, so that when the time comes to install them, the whole process goes a lot more smoothly. The bracket right there, and as you can see, there's a top bolt that sticks out. So which is interesting because as you see, there are two holes there. On the back driver's side, you're going to be using the right side, and then that's the other slot there that goes into this part right there. And I was looking at the instructions, and it tells to put the motor on the back side. So the mount with the motor, how you tell that's the one is with actually that's where the gears go into right there. So this whole process actually took me a little bit of time. It took me about 45 minutes just to clean out the bolts, and definitely the holes where these bolts go into. It took a long time. As you can see, I've got WD-40 spray there, cleaned it all off. Same thing for the front, and actually I've already got that side already bolted up there. But once I had everything clean, it really just took about 15 minutes to get in there. So I had everything been cleaned. As you see, I got a bunch of mud everywhere. This whole thing probably would have just maybe taken me literally 15 minutes to put into. So we'll pause right there and come on back to the next part. As you can see, this is the back side. This is where the top bolt is at, and then so there's a washer and a nut that comes with the kit that you install, and then just right below, this is where the other bolt goes into. So you put the bracket in first, don't tighten everything all the way down, let it loose, and you do that on all four sides. So once you've installed the hinge system, the next thing to do is actually put on the PowerStep itself, and it's pretty easy to align. And as you see here, there's some bolts that go right up into the bottom of the PowerStep. Same thing on the front side as well. So there's 4 of those bolts that go in. Now, don't tighten everything up. Actually keep things very loose, because it's going to be a little bit tough to slide the bar back and forth to get to the right measurement. Now, the thing with the Nissan Armada install is that the instructions, it's interesting how the instructions call for the difference in measurement from the front of the, from the back side here to the edge here to be 11.5 inches. And the thing that I came across with that was that at 11.5 inches, the edge here would actually hit way back here. As you see, there's an uprise right here in the body. What's going to happen is that the backside by the rear tire is going to hit here. Then you're going to have a gap that runs all the way to the front of the Armada. And so I tried it at 11.5 inches is what the instructions said. I found that 8 inches from the edge of here to the edge of here works perfect. And so as you're going to see here, I'm going to shut the door now, and this should go up here in 2 seconds. So at 8 inches, you can see there's still a little gap there. It's not really hitting that bad, but if I were to go back another couple of inches, I would be sitting over here. And as you can see, probably there's a really nice good gap all the way down on the front side. And so if it's hitting further back here and it's hitting down lower, then all that's going to mean is there's going to be a wider gap between the PowerStep and the body as you go closer to the front. And so at 8 inches from this is what the front side looks like. As you see, it fits really nice and snug. You may want to go 7 3/4 on the back side, or you can also go 8 inches, and that's what it'll look like. So once you've bolted the bottom of the PowerStep to the hinges, the next thing to do is actually zip tie the controller just below the master cylinder to the air box. I've got a Canon air filter. The next thing I'm going to do is actually a cold air kit. I'll probably do another video about that. But anyways, just tie it down there somewhere pretty easy. And then after that, you want to run the wiring harness for the PowerStep, not the LED system yet. So two big things right here. One is I jumped the gun and I immediately plugged in the wiring harness and had a really hard time trying to wire everything back behind there, as you see, to my battery there. Sorry, my engine's all messy and dirty. We just got done four-wheeling a ton. But one other really big tip is, again, run the wiring harness from the battery side up underneath by the firewall, and then run it down and zip tie it back there. But the other thing too is you want to take off your motor cover here, just so that you'll be able to have a lot more room to get all the way underneath there. I don't know if you can see where everything is tied off, but let me see if I can. I guess I can't, but anyways, so as you see there, I've run the wires from right there all the way behind the firewall, and I've got some pretty small hands, and so I was able to get back in there. So for some of you guys that may have larger hands, maybe a large or an extra large in the glove, what you want to do is probably remove the top piece there. It's pretty easy. All you got to do is remove these two bolts. There's one bolt, another bolt, and then there's the rubber grommets that just fit right into that section there, and the other one's right there. Just pull those off. I needed to give a little bit of love, and so when I was doing that, I accidentally cracked my piece right there, which quite honestly I could really care less about it. So so once you do that, again, another really big tip is run your wiring from this end underneath the firewall, and then run it on down to your controller. It is a lot easier to work with, and obviously a good rule of thumb is to work on this when your motor's pretty cool. I did all of this at night, and that's why I didn't film everything, because it was just so dark and the spotlights I had was just pretty warm. But overall, like I said, it's pretty easy to be able to do all of this. So so once you've got that done, the instruction is called to take out the fuse. It's a 30 amp fuse that comes here, so just pull that out. I just disconnected everything before I got down to the wiring thing. So that completes this section here. Alrighty, well now I've got the controller mounted between the airbox and also the master cylinder. Now it's time to hook up the wiring. One really cool thing about the wiring is, you can probably see right there, is that as you see up here on the top right hand side, this is a circle, then this top left hand corner is also a circle, but this one here is kind of a 3/4 circle, and it's got a flat side. Same thing on this side. So that way these connections will allow you to hook everything up correctly. And as you'll see, this top one here as well, it's not completely circle, it's got a flat side. So all you got to do is just line those up with the harness just right down here, and then continue the wiring, as it will probably tell you to run everything up and around through to the battery, down below into the Fender Wells and all that stuff. But that's just really one really cool thing I think AMP did to organize the wiring. The next thing to do is to run the wires through the Fender Wells and underneath by the Armada frame. And as you can see right there in the middle, I've just pulled out the wiring. And so the longest one, there's 3 braids that come out of the whole thing that goes to the controller. Not sure if you can see all 3 down there, but the longest one is going to run towards the passenger side. And then obviously there's another one that's just going to be for the battery power, and that one's pretty easy to find. It's got a red cable, and then your black cable going to the negative battery post, and then the shorter end cable is going to run towards the driver's side. And again, that one you can run underneath your fender well, and then I'm going to crawl underneath the Armada right now, and then just simply run it right by the frame all the way, as you can see right there, all the way to the back side of the Armada. So that's pretty easy step there. So now we're looking at the instructions, step 12. The next thing you do is you run the end wires and you clip it into the actual motor. So as you can see there, I hope that can zoom in. If not, just download the PDF off of the site and look at step number 12. Really easy process. Just clip everything in. Once that wiring harness has been clipped into the actual motor, there's a little rubber grommet that actually slides really easily into the plastic cover of the whole motor, and so be sure to do that. The other really smart thing to do too right now is, while you're clipping everything in, do not zip tie anything down yet. Do not tie anything down yet, because you're probably going to move this around. I started to zip tie everything down because I thought I had enough, but I really didn't. Just don't zip tie anything down. Really smart thing. So the really easy thing is there's the plastic mount that actually covers the motor, and all you do is snap these little clips in to hold the plastic cover down over the motor. As you see, there's 5 bolts that go in from there. There's a metal bracket, 3 small screws, and then 2 other screws that hold the motor to this bracket right here. Now, I'm going to give you a big tip about installing the motors. What I did is something you probably don't want to do, and that is start on the driver's side. The driver's side installation of the motor was pretty difficult, just because I'm right-handed, and as you see probably down here, all those screws, all the bolts that hold the motor, the plastic cover and everything together, it's in a really tight location. So I would definitely think about doing that if you're tired. If you've got plenty of energy. By this time I was a little exhausted. Again, long day at work, blah blah blah. But that's one thing you're going to want to take into consideration on the driver's side. It is, especially for the right-handed people, a little bit tougher to do. And the left side, or the passenger side, was a lot easier to install. Pretty easy. So once you've got the wiring all laid out underneath the truck and the Armada, the next thing you want to do is remove the door sills. Pretty easy process. And then you want to get into your kick panel, which is just right behind here. So then to get into the driver's side, there's a rubber grommet that goes way in the back. Actually, it's a plastic piece that holds this kick panel, and just pull that out. And then it's not that difficult to really pull this piece out. Once you've pulled the kick panel out, then you just want to lift your carpet out. And then the really easy thing about finding where to run your wiring is that this is again the driver's side, but right in front of the front hinge, whatever they call it, there's going to be a little grommet hole there, and you just drill a hole through there. And then the driver's side has a red wire with a yellow stripe, and then a light blue wire. Now in the Armada, sorry, my camera's going everywhere. In the Armada, there's actually 3 wires that are the same color as this one here. 3 of them that are red with the yellow stripe, and there's one pretty thick one that's about the same thickness as the wire here. Do not use that one. Don't tap into that one. There's actually 2 other ones that are a lot smaller, and I'm not sure which one I tapped into, but I actually had to test both of them. And how I found out I had this all wired correctly was I just opened the front door and the back door. I believe the light blue wire runs the driver's side door, and then the red wire with the yellow stripe runs the driver's side rear door on the Armada. So like I said, don't tap in with your posies to the big thick red wire with the yellow stripe. Go after one of the other 2 smaller red ones with the yellow stripes. Same color code, just not as thick. So I hope you can see that right there. But definitely tap into that one. Pretty easy to do that. You do the same thing on the passenger side, and then really you then come to the point of just installing your fuse all over again. And if you did what I did, which is just take the positive and the negatives out, just rewire everything, put your fuse back in here. It's pretty easy. Just pull the cap off right there. It's kind of hard to do that with one hand filming and the other trying to do this, but anyways, there's the fuse right there. Put it back in, and then open your doors. And one thing that you may experience, like I did, was that one of the doors worked and the other one didn't. And so gotta love my worn out seat cover. But anyways, that really is going to be pretty much it. But those are some things that you can do for the meantime. So if you've ordered your PowerStep, some of those things to do in advance are clean the bolt areas for the washers and the nuts and where the bolts go into. Drill everything you need for your wires to come through the driver's side, and same thing happens on the passenger side. And make sure your motor is pretty cool, and then that really is about it. So the end result is whenever you open or close your door, the steps drop down and get back open. So really awesome setup. I love it. Alrighty, so in the end, I wanted to show you pretty much how much of an advantage you would have when thinking about getting one of these AMP PowerSteps. So the really awesome thing about this is obviously they retract. I'm going to talk about why that's pretty awesome here in a second from now. But measuring from my driveway here to the top of the PowerStep here really is 16 inches. And so I'm not sure, if you have if your Armada is not lifted. Like I said, I'm running 35s on mine. So that's from the bottom to the top, 16 inches. And then from the bottom to the original footstep here really was about 28 inches. And so the difference between the two, the advantage that you would get right here, literally, I hope you can see that, is that's a 1 foot mark. So really you've got an advantage of, something right here, obviously the ground, and then about a foot from the door sill. You're able to take a step right there and just hop right on in. My wife, she's pregnant with our second, girl, which is really cool. I'm excited. Our first is a boy. His name is Denali. Named him after a few trips to Alaska. And so he's 18 months, and a couple of months from now, he's probably going to be climbing in and out of this as well. I've been taking him camping since he was about 5-6 months old. I've got a bunch of really cool video footage of him out all over the place. And that's the other thing, is I photograph a lot. Like I mentioned, every single month I put on about 4,000 to 7,000 miles on my Armada, and we live here in Utah, in Sandy, Utah, and literally about 15-20 minutes from our home here. You could be at any one of the 4 resorts on our side of the mountain where the Winter Olympics took place. And I bring that up because with this Armada, I've been into all 4 seasons. I've been in some ugly mud, definitely a lot of snow, in the desert, in the sand dunes, the fall foliage time. I photographed on top of my Armada, and years ago, actually it wasn't that long, this is our second SUV. The first one I used to have was a Land Rover, is a Discovery, Disco 2 as they call it. It was pretty awesome, and no offense to the Land Rover owners, but that thing was rigged to handle the off-road, and it still sucked. It was horrible. One of the most annoying things about that was I had the metal side steps on my Land Rover, and I actually got stuck a few times because I wasn't able to maneuver around boulders. And so the really cool thing about these AMP Research Powersteps is you close it, and literally 2 seconds later they retract. And so on the Land Rover and many of the other vehicles out there, you can't do that. There's just that big old, pretty much, metal piping that's out here that's always going to get in the way. So if you're not, running 35s, or maybe you got 33-inch tires, or some tires that are not, bigger than your factory ones, I don't know how you feel about that, but for me personally, I would really get annoyed with that and always be trying to figure out how the heck to get around certain rocks or boulders or different things to be able to continue the drive out. And so the really cool thing about these is that they retract, and I already tested this with my son. Like I said, he's 18 months old, and he was just playing his cars on here, and with the doors open, and when I closed them, he kept playing on here, and they wouldn't go back in. And so they stay open, they lock, and then you just got to open the door, close the door, then it shuts again. And so the awesome thing about these is obviously these are all made right here in good old America. That is one really awesome thing. So it doesn't take a very it's not a difficult process to install these. Like I mentioned earlier, if you can change your own oil, I've had to change the front CV shaft on this because I just shattered it out in the middle of nowhere, and was able to repair it by myself. And so really it doesn't take a whole lot to install these PowerSteps. It just takes a little bit of time. You know, clean your bolts, clean where the bolt holes go into underneath the carriage here, and then just follow the steps. Pretty easy. So I hope you guys can enjoy what these babies do. Makes things a lot easier for me. I haul a lot in this Armada. In fact, on the back side, I can actually lay all my seats down and haul 4x8 sheets of plywood. And then I also use my roof rack a lot. And on that roof, really, I put all my panels, different things, my snowboards. You got another big thing that goes on top. So this just makes it a lot easier, because before I would have to use a metal step ladder to get up. But now all I got to do is just open my doors, leave one open, and load everything up on top. So if you have any questions or you have any comments, definitely just put them below this video here. And definitely, if you have any doubt about what these things do, I'm excited about testing them and putting them through all 4 seasons. Luckily, there's a really cool warranty on these. And like I said, yeah, questions, comments, put them below and I'll get back to you. So hopefully this video helped you and will help you decide on getting these AMP Research Powersteps. I love them. So have a good rest of the day.